Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you how to make this beautiful bag. It's quite simple. We'll just use chains and sturdy needles. I chose to use 2 bag straps and a snap fastener. I'll share the material information in detail shortly. I took little notes in my notebook. A screenshot of them would be very helpful. Just so you know, before we start our video, I'd be very grateful if you subscribe to my channel and like my video. Thanks in advance to everyone who will be making this. Before we start our video, I'd like to share the material and parts information. Let me keep it this way. You can take a screenshot if you like. This will make it easier. I used a 4-yard crochet hook. I wrote 300 here. I wrote it wrong. I used 1 piece of glittery yarn that is 350 meters long. I used 2 pieces of 250 grams, 150 meters long, 2 millimeters thick black polyester yarn. I have a plastic needle and scissors. As for the piece information, we have 4 glittery pieces and 2 plain pieces. My glittery pieces are made with 26 chains. They are 16.5 centimeters wide and 27 centimeters high. The plain piece in the middle area is made with 19 chains. They are 11 centimeters wide and 27 centimeters high. There is also a frame section, which we can call the base. It is 99 centimeters long, 7.5 centimeters wide and 8 centimeters high. The number of chains is 12. You can change the dimensions as you wish. I'll show you my pieces right away. This is my glittery piece. This is the plain piece I'll use in the middle area. Just so you know, let's get right to it. It's a pretty simple pattern. We'll work with chains and a tight needle. I'll only show you one of these pieces. I won't show the others because the technique is exactly the same. I've already shared the chain counts. You can easily make these pieces with the chain counts listed there. Let's start making them right away. Police, because there's a risk of the rope getting tangled, I'll tie a knot like this before starting. If you like, you can burn the end of it with a lighter to make it even stronger. Now, while we're making our glitter piece, I'll take our glitter thread and polyester thread. I can tie another knot like this to prevent it from slipping. Yes, we can start now. We mentioned that we should start our glitter piece with 26 chains. Now, let's chain 26. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. One oh, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and 26. By the way, let me try to clearly show you the thinness of this glitter thread. You know the lace threads we use for this scarf edge. I'd say it's a bit thinner. In other words, it's not a very thick glitter thread. Because our polyester thread is already thick enough, I thought it would make a very heavy bag and wouldn't look nice, so I opted for the thin glitter thread. After chaining 26, look here, sorry. Yes, look here, you can see our knots. Let me show you this. Right there, we have our first chain space. We have our second chain space. You might have a little trouble seeing it because it's black yarn. Let me do it this way. Yes, look, right there. These are the last 26 chains we worked. I apologize for not being able to speak. 26 chains. We're going to slip stitch into 25 chains and make a single crochet. Then, I'll work a single crochet into each of my chain tops, continuing until the end of my row. Let me clarify. Yes, I won't cut any of the video because, as I said, I'll show you one piece. So, I'm thinking of proceeding without any cutting. For the handle, if you're familiar with knitting techniques, you can use them to make a handle. If you have the materials, you can use a handle that fits your bag. I had a bag handle as a material, and I found it convenient to use it. As I said, if you don't have the materials or can't afford it, you can also knit your bag handle. I've now gone to the end of my row. My space is very small, so the camera can sometimes hit it. Sorry. I'll slip stitch into my last chain right away. Yes, right now, I've worked a single crochet at the top of every chain until the end of my row. I always chain in every turn. Now, this isn't just a single chain I've made. Look right there, there's a gap you see. It's the top of my first single crochet. Or rather, the top of my last single crochet I made in the first row. Look right there, I'm inserting the single crochet there and continuing the single crochet throughout each row. Let me show you how to make it clearer for the single crochet tops. Look, if I hold it like this, if I open the gap, it's obvious as you can see. I'm inserting the single crochet directly there. Let's work another row together until the end of my row. The method is the same after that. So, to avoid boring you, I won't continue. Yes, I'm almost at the end of my row. This thin yarn makes it a bit difficult to knit. It's very slippery. Be careful not to lose track of the stitches. Keep an eye on the stitches. By the way, this pattern is finished very quickly. As I said, it's made of chains and single crochets. It's a bag you can easily create in just 2 days. Look, I'm in my last stitch right now. I'm immediately inserting into my last stitch. As you can see, it folds like this. I'm making my single crochet. As I mentioned, we had one chain stitch on the turning stitch. I pulled my chain. I turned my knitting. I'll immediately insert into the top of the last single crochet I made and make my single crochet stitch again to complete my row. That's the entire process from now on. Don't forget to chain one on each turning stitch as you move up the row. Let me show you this quickly. We started this piece with 26 chains. We'll make our 4 glittery pieces. For the piece I'm using in the middle area, we'll start with 19 chains and make 2 pieces without including the glittery yarn. We'll also make one piece 99 centimeters long. The height of our 4 pieces plus the height of our 2 pieces will be 27 centimeters. Let's complete our pieces. Let's talk again in the joining section. Yes, I've finished my pieces with the measurements I gave. Now we can move on to the joining phase. I joined one part as a preliminary step. Let me show you right away. Here's the other one. I joined it here too. This piece without glitter will be our middle area. We'll join it so the other glittery piece is on the side. Yes, I've attached some yarn. I've attached the yarn I used to knit my bag. I'm starting right now like this. I'm starting from this corner point like this. I'll repeat this process a few times to secure my yarn. Yes. Now, I'm inserting the corner point of my other piece and starting the joining process. Look, these lines are already visible during the joining. I'll adjust my stitching so that the opposite piece aligns with this line. Let me explain this below. We'll complete our stitching, working from right to left. Let me adjust it like this. I'm tightening it up. Look, my yarn is on this side right now. I'm starting from the top right now. Let me show you our stitching points. First, let's not miss those. Let me show you our stitching points like this. You can see the gaps there. Some of our stitching points are here, and some are there. That's where our shape is. So, we'll insert them one from here, one from here, one from here, and one from here. You can make your adjustments accordingly. It's darker right now, so it's not visible. Sorry. Would it be clearer if I held it like this? Look, I'm in the middle right now. Let me clarify. Yes, look, I looked at the middle. I'm pulling my yarn in the same way opposite it. I'm immediately in the side space. So the same way, tightening it like this. And again, opposite it. We'll continue sewing in this way until the end of our row, or rather, until our piece is finished. As I said, taking it from one end to the other. This is what it will look like. We'll continue. If you know a different stitch joining method up to this end, you can use that too. Yes, we've finished sewing. I'm making several neat additions to the last space, without disrupting the appearance. I'm going to go through my knitting a few times, just below my knitting, and through my ring. Let me show you that right away. I'm going into one of my stitches. You can see a loop forming here. I'm going to pull it through and pull it. Let's go through the stitch a few times, tightening it up. It would be better if you burn the ends of your polyester yarn. It won't unravel when washed in the future. Just so you know. Now that we've finished these two sections, we've finished the front and back. Now we'll move on to joining the side sections. Take this piece, our long piece. We'll sew it starting from that corner, as I've shown. I quickly threaded a length of yarn and knotted it around my needle. Now I'm starting at the corner point of my thin piece. Let me hide it under there a few times. I pulled it from the top. I don't want my button to be visible. I'm starting at the corner point a few times. I've tightened it. I'm starting at the other piece. I'm starting at the corner point. We'll proceed as here. Again, from bottom to top. Yes. Again, if you follow the lines, you'll achieve a more even look. We'll continue by sewing in the places I've shown. Let's put it like this. The stitches are facing each other. The points you'll be sewing in, as I've shown, you can see these rounded lines. I'll sew one here and then stitch it to the line between these two circles, from bottom to top. Now, let's work our way up to the corner point. Let's meet again at the corner point. Yes, as you can see, I've progressed to the corner point. I'm immediately turning this thin piece like this. I'm continuing sewing in the same way. I'm sinking into my corner point like this. I'm continuing. The stitch right below is a corner. I messed it up a lot today. I'm continuing the same process. There's no difference at all, actually. As you can see, you'll get a look like this. We're working the bottom row in this same way, from top to bottom. Yes, as you can see, we turned 3 edges. Now we'll attach the other piece in the same way. Let's turn the front side like this. As I showed you, we need to hide that thread. We'll sew it the same way we did here. As you can see, we've finished sewing our bag. Now, we'll finish it by making a few rows of tight stitches around the mouth. Then we'll move on to the handle. Yes, we'll make a loop in our thread like this. Let's tie off the end like this. I'll burn it later so it doesn't unravel. Yes, I'm starting right at one edge like this. You can start from the thin edge or the long edge. I'll start from the thin edge like this. In fact, let's do it like this. Let's loosen our stitch. I'm starting from the corner point. I'm passing my stitch through it and pulling it through like this. Now, I'll continue by working my yarn under here, 1 chain stitch. I'll work my excess yarn into the stitch right next to it. We'll work 1 single crochet into the top of each stitch, advancing the opening a few rows. My camera angle looked a little off. Now this is better. You don't skip any stitches. When you get to these corners, these joining points, you continue in the same way. There's no different procedure. Now, I'll go back to 1 for about 2 rows. If it's enough, I'll cut my yarn on the second row. If it's not enough, I'll continue with the third row. So, we've finished our first row. We're going to move on to our second row. When we move on to our second row, we had 1 chain stitch at the beginning. We're going to slip it to the top of that stitch. We're making our slip stitch. We're chaining 1 stitch, and we're moving up 1 row. We're continuing with single crochets in the side stitch that immediately follows. Meanwhile, we'll make 1 single crochet in each of the top stitches until the end of our row. I think 2 rows will be enough. Let's take a look at our second row just to clarify. Yes, we've reached the end of our row. 2 rows were enough for me. I'm immediately making a slip stitch at the top of the chain I just made. I've made a slip stitch. I'm chaining 1 and cutting my yarn. I'm pulling it tight like this. Now I'm going to hide it behind. I'm slipping it like this. I'm passing it to the back. I'm immediately turning the inside out. I'm going to pick up a loop and pass it through my ring a few turns. That should be enough. I'm going to pass it through a few loops. Yes. Our bag is finished knitting. Now, after preparing the handle, I'll move on to ironing. I'll iron the sequins by laying a piece of fabric on top of it to prevent them from getting damaged while ironing. If you know a bag hanger pattern, you can make it from knitted fabric. If you don't have a ready-made hanger, I have a black leather hanger. I think it would be more suitable, so I'll continue with that. As you can see, we've finished our bag. I used 2 leather straps. I sewed them on with sewing thread, and I also chose to use one snap like this. Again, the bag's makeup is entirely up to you. Feel free to use it however you like. As I mentioned, you could also finish your bag by making a knitted handle. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you like my bag, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and like my videos. Thanks in advance for everyone's hard work. Goodbye.